Tolerate. Defined as allowing the existence, occurrence, or practice of something that one does not necessarily like or agree with without interference. Now, as a citizen of a constitutional federal republic, I view being tolerant in general as a good thing. That being said, when it comes to your personal relationship, there are certain things I don't think any man should have to tolerate. Now, as I often do, I stole the idea for today's video from Reddit, and I'm going to be bringing in some of the best answers that I found over on that website. Now, this first one was really powerful, shared by Hadis Monsta. If I tell her something in private and she makes a joke about it, tells it to others, tells it to her friends, and they joke about it, uses it against me, acts like it doesn't matter, not important, no tolerance for that. Overall, I have to agree with what this guy's saying, because to me, this is about trust. When you are in a relationship, you want to be able to open up to somebody and for them not to judge you, for them to be able to listen to you, for them to be able to understand where you're coming from and just maybe commiserate with you, not, necessarily provide advice, and definitely not go tell other people, not for her to make fun of you, not for her to pass it on. Now, occasionally they may not understand that you're telling them something in confidence. And I do think it's important that you say that, especially, and they should pick up, and they should infer, especially when it's something very personal. But if again and again they're sharing this information, especially with their girlfriends or someone that, this comes back around and all of a sudden you're being made fun of because maybe you've got an issue, you can't get it up. Maybe you just haven't been feeling good and you've got, a medical issue and your family finds out about it. I mean, these are things that you want to have a partner that you can open up with. I mean, we all want somebody that we can love and we can trust, who's got our backs and isn't going to be gossiping behind our backs. Next up, we've got some wisdom from Death Explosion. He's saying someone that can't have a conversation about serious matters. Now, it's interesting because he also had a lot of people jump in below and say, hey, that is the relationship I'm in. I can't talk to her about anything serious. I had a few relationships like that before I got serious, but they were, just very light, superfluous relationships that didn't last too long. If you're going to be in a long-term relationship, we're talking marriage, we're talking someone that you are going to be living with, someone that you want to be able to really build a life with, you've got to be able to have those tough conversations, because that's life. You're going to maybe you want to have children, or you don't want to have children. That's a tough conversation. Maybe, when it comes to money, this is definitely something that you need to talk about. Does she have a whole lot in loans and you don't? Are you going to bring in a whole lot maybe of credit card debt? Or you simply, how do you want to live your life? If you can't have those serious conversations now, you can bet they're going to be an issue later. Next up, we've got some wisdom from Silverstreak70. He says, not respecting boundaries. Right underneath it, there was an interesting comment from a guy saying he had to break up with his significant other because she kept stealing weed along with her friends. And he's like, hey man, I'm pretty open with this. Just simply ask. That was his boundary, is to simply ask before you take something. And these people couldn't do that. They kept, stealing from, his supply. And he was like, hey, he had to end the relationship. Now, I really liked what I Like Horses 3 had to say. She said it's important to understand whatever the boundary is. Some people might find certain boundaries trivial, but if you aren't going to respect them, then you don't respect or care enough about your partner. She went on to elaborate that porn is one that a lot of guys don't really see as, they view it as trivial. Yes, your partner doesn't want you watching it, but you occasionally pick it up. Here's the thing. If your partner is asked that is a boundary, she asks that you not be watching it. I'm not saying, and again, you need to work this out with your partner, but if it's really that important to her, you need to be careful and not view it as a trivial thing that you're doing when she may view that as cheating. I mean, you may not, but this is, again, a deeper conversation. I'm not saying it is or isn't, but that was the example she used. And I think it actually makes a lot of sense, because some guys will just blow this off as, hey, she has no right. But if you're in that relationship, understand that she feels she does. And I admit, I've got a trivial boundary with my wife, and that is, before you let the kids stay the night or go over and do something big, check with me. Now, 99% of the time, I am going to agree with her. I'm not going to fight her on that. I just simply want to be in the loop. I want to be, if my kids are going to be spending the night somewhere, I want to be involved in that decision and just get, oh yeah, I agree with you, which happens almost all the time. But, initially she didn't take it very seriously. She kept just approving our kids going off and doing things. And I had a sit down conversation with my wife about how it's important to me to know where my kids are. And she said, you know what, you're right. right. And to this day, now she follows that boundary. But initially, she didn't realize how important it was. So if you're going to have boundaries, make sure you express to your partner that even though this may sound trivial, it's important to you. Now, this next one was specific, and it was yelling. And growing up in a household in which you had one parent that just yelled all the time, and that's the way that he thought and he communicated, I have to admit, I agree with this one. Personally, anyone else grow up around somebody that just thought that screaming louder somehow made things right? It's something I don't yell in my house. Anyone that knows me knows I'm a very calm person. My wife is not a yeller. And I think it's really just, again, important that you lay these things out. It probably fits under boundaries, but I liked how they were specific here. And I know personally, I would never date anyone or go into a long-term relationship or even stick around a friend that thought that yelling and screaming was okay as a way to communicate. Next up, we got Lelouch 2002, and he said, not making efforts for our relationships. And Oh My Thick Thighs actually gave a specific example. Definitely one of the things that ended my last marriage. When I look back, I was putting in 100% of myself, and she was basically putting in 0. And I'm Not a Human hit it on the head by saying that relationship is a team effort, not a solo job. Personally, I 100% agree with this, but I do want to talk about how relationships aren't always 50-50. There are going to be times in the relationship when one person is putting in 90%, the other person is putting in 10%. Maybe that person is sick, maybe they got something going on in their life, they're at a weak point, they are down. I know my wife, after having a baby, I mean, she's just emotionally, she's kind of all over the place. She isn't able to do as much. I become the taxi driver. I've got to, I'm not able to work as much. And I'm happy and I'm proud that I've been able to set up my business in a way that I can contribute more. I can be the person trying to, put in. But I mean, she's given so much. I mean, she just gave birth, and you understand that what's going on in this relationship. There are many times in our relationship that it's been the opposite. She's been the 90%. I've been the 10%. So don't view it as it always has to be 50-50, but it is something that people should be throughout the life of the relationship working to, make, hey, this is a partnership, not a solo kind of deal. Next up, we got Monkey Dust, and he said controlling. And there were so many people, both men and women, that jumped in on this saying, I had to end a relationship because they wanted to control me. And all these stories, but personally, I have a couple that I know locally. The guy had put a tracking device on his wife's car. And I knew her, I ended up talking to her about this, and she divorced him because it was just something that she couldn't believe that he did not trust her. And whenever she confronted him, talked to him, I mean, he apologized and she never cheated on him. I mean, there was nothing that came out of this. There was nothing going on. And yet he just had this type of personality. And it is really sad when you see relationships, marriages, kids, everyone being affected because somebody, or maybe both people in the relationship, are so controlling. It's a lack of trust. And it's tough when you've been burnt and you've got to learn to trust again. It's tough when you've had somebody take advantage of you because it's very difficult to trust people after that. But understand that controlling nature, that controlling type of behavior really is going to sabotage the relationship. Now, this next one, I was really surprised it didn't pop up higher, but lying, cheating, infidelity. I know for me, this is, it would just, I can't even imagine. And I know this has happened to many of you guys. And, I'd love to hear from you down in the comments how you've overcome this, how you've been working on yourself to get better. But I had a friend, one of my best friends in college, and he was totally in love with this girl. And he came back from a trip and she was cheating on him. Apparently it started out, she was a consultant, it had happened, and now he jokes about it, but it just ruined, I know it took him years to overcome this because he felt like he was unconditionally in love with this woman. He trusted her and she broke that trust. And it took him, his next marriage was a disaster as well. It was his third marriage, and now they've got a great relationship. I'm really proud of him and what he's been able to do with this amazing woman. And now they finally had a child together, and this is a big deal. But it took him 3 marriages. And that's why I never judge anyone that's gone through this. Any guy that's gone through a divorce, any woman that's gone through a divorce, understand that this really can just rock your world. But I think about, and I've been put in positions where I could have cheated on my wife, and I am proud to say I did not do it. In fact, I touched this ring finger because I think about, and it is hard in the situation, and there's research out there that if you do not think you're going to get caught. There's a 90% chance that if you really believe you will never get caught, that people will cheat, they will steal, they will do these things. That being said, you think about just simply, you have to live with it. And that's one of the reasons I don't drink, especially when I'm out around other people. I get more attractive when I drink. But now, seriously, I don't want to put myself in that situation, because I found that early on in my marriage, when I would have a number of drinks, I would get a little bit fun, a little bit flirty. And I realized I got to rein this in. I can't be the person that, I'll just be honest, my father cheated on my mother, and that's what ended the marriage. And I know what it's like to lose, not see your dad. I've lost pretty much all relations with my dad. He tries to build it back, but it's been very difficult because of what he did to our family. And anyone that's gone through something like that, you don't want to repeat this. And to realize that, hey, within you are the genes, I know of me, of a man that could cheat. And so I really have tried to set up systems. My friend Ryan explained this. He talked about how avoid the yellow flags. And the yellow flags are the ones that you pass through thinking that you're going to hit a red flag and stop. But if you keep busting through those yellow flags, when you hit that red flag, you're going to keep flying. And you need to say, hey, you know what? I understand that I am not strong enough, that I should not be put in this position, that I am, we've got the genes that just want to pass on to as many, we want to have as many kids as possible. So if you realize that you are weak, you can set up systems to protect yourself. And I know for me that, just this one is horrible. The idea that somebody would lie and cheat. And I know that I took it to the extreme with cheating, but lying in general, I know with my kids, this is something I do not tolerate. To always tell me the truth. I don't care how bad it is. Please tell me the truth and I'll be honest with you. It has been tough. Has anyone had this with their kids, that you've promised you will always tell them the truth and they ask you something that's kind of embarrassing? Some that a little white lie would suffice. I find that when I go into excruciating detail, my kids are like, okay, yeah, we could end the topic. I didn't realize I really wanted to know where babies came from. But yes, I had one kid ask me, and now they understand about zygotes and they understand about a total anatomy and biology, and that they don't ask me that anymore. Now, speaking of things that you shouldn't tolerate, flaky, dry, nasty skin. Come on, guys. There are options out there. Check out my company, Vitaman. Yeah, I've got you covered. I've created an entire kit. This is the I Will Not Tolerate Shitty Skin Kit. Yes, and by the way, I'm throwing in some extra free product with this kit. Why am I doing this? Because, guys, I want you to try the Vitaman products. These products right here are second to none. They're amazing. Made over in Australia using the Australian outback. We're talking natural and organic ingredients using a unique product deck that is going to have your skin looking amazing. Seriously, gents, amazing products with a 100% money back guarantee. You've got nothing to lose. And if you use that link down in the description, I've got a special kit for you. Again, I will not tolerate crappy looking skin, shitty. I'll change the title a bit. I want to have a little bit of fun with this. But guys, you're going to get the best deal on the web when you use that link and you go over to Vitaman. And again, gents, I'm one of the owners of the company. We stand behind every product we sell over at Vitaman. So if you haven't checked this out, again, use that link in the description of today's video to get the best deal on the web. Next up from Jacoboo, we've got entitlement and narcissism. And he says those things go hand in hand. Now, back in the day, I remember dating a few girls like this, and it did not last long. But I will tell you that when I met my wife, I knew immediately this was not her. And it was one of the things I was just drawn to her, how selfless she was, almost to a fault. But again, I would love to hear from some of you guys in the comments below. And I know it seems like it's increasing, especially with social media, that there are just all types of narcissistic people. But I would say with this, warn you, have you looked in the mirror? Are you going towards this? What are you doing to not be the person that everything is about you? I know as you get older, especially if you're not out there dating, if you don't have a partner, you get comfortable just things always being about you. I do know that having kids and trying to be a good father, that one thing has made me a lot selfless, because you realize kids are all about them. Talk about narcissist. Yeah, try having a 3-month-old that screams all night because, it doesn't give you any of your wife. Yeah, she gets everything. I love my Marina, but man, she doesn't like to sleep at night. But guys, this is definitely one that is a red flag and you got to watch out for. Next up from NomNom44, we've got lack of accountability for reactions and emotions. And he used the quote, "If you can't handle me at my worst, then you don't deserve me at my best," is a garbage excuse for doing things and expecting no repercussions. Now, gents, I'm gonna admit, I never really liked that saying, and I see where they're talking about in this context, where that would be a huge red flag and something I wouldn't tolerate. If somebody thinks that their emotional explosions and their inability to be able to control their emotions is just something that I'm going to have to deal with, then they're going to find I'm not going to deal with that. And I'm sure many of you guys have been in relationships in which she was just so good looking that you tried to put up with it for a while, but it does get old and it gets embarrassing and it doesn't go away. And it gets worse as that person ages. Can you imagine being stuck in a relationship? And I know some of you guys probably said, I was stuck in that relationship. And if you were, again, guys, enlighten us with some of the stories down below. I love hearing great comments. And by the way, I've got some cool challenge coins I would love to send out for men that are looking to improve themselves to get better every day. So guys, you've seen these challenge coins. I love sending them out. Just leave a great comment down below and I'll get one out to you. Now, this one was interesting. Quiet Visitor said, not having my back. And there were a lot of people that jumped in and said, but what about in this situation? That one's hard sometimes because I want someone to call me out on my BS. I'd have to say the way that I work this is in public. My wife, my partner, we are our unified front, especially when it comes to kids who are always trying to manipulate you, or when it comes down to just simply, hey, we publicly are going to agree. Privately, though, we will have conversations and we disagree and we will call each other out. We try to have these conversations. It doesn't happen all the time, but when it does, I don't do it in public. In public, my wife may say something that is incorrect that I don't necessarily agree with, and I'm going to back her up. It's what you expect from your friends in a fight. You may be drunk and you may have started the fight, but you expect your friends at least to pull you out of the fight. Maybe not, go head to head with those, 3 guys that are twice your size and are going to really kick your ass because they know how to fight. No, I mean, maybe he's going to tackle you and take you out and say, hey, we're all just drunk and stupid and, whatever. But in public, you got to stand together. Privately, though, that's where you have the conversation and you talk about your differences. Now let's talk about manipulation. Emotional blackmailing. There were so many stories of guys saying, you know what, she would tell me that if I don't do this, I'm a bad person, and she would find ways to manipulate you. If you feel that you're being manipulated, hopefully you have that conversation with your partner early, and if they don't see it, if you're still feeling that way, guys, this is red flag, run. Hopefully you've not already consummated marriage and all the other stuff, but yeah, this is one that I can't even imagine being in a relationship with someone that is manipulating your feelings, trying to manipulate, because they're not going to stop there. If somebody, you've heard the story of the scorpion and the frog. It's Aesop's fable. Basically, the frog wanted to cross the river. Scorpion asked for a ride. The frog says, no way, you're going to sting me and we'll both die. Scorpion says, it's not going to make sense. I mean, why would I do something like that? So the frog lets the scorpion get on its back, is going across, halfway across the river. The scorpion stings them and they are drowning both. And he says, why would you do this? And the scorpion replies, it's in my nature. Understand that if someone is a manipulator, believe them. If they show you they manipulate, if you've seen them manipulate other people, you will be manipulated as well. It's just a matter of time. Trust when a scorpion is a scorpion. It cannot escape its nature. If this person has reached adulthood and they're used to manipulating people, it is going to be very hard for this person to change, if not impossible. And don't think that you are that person that's going to be able to change them. Instead, get out of that relationship and find somebody that's better for you. Now, this next one from Best You Never was genius. He said, murder. If my wife ever murders me, then we are done. You got to admit, the guy is funny and technically correct. Next up, we got Important Switch 379 saying, when your partner says it's fine, I'm fine, when you can easily tell that something is not fine, or if you ask them to decide on something and they say, you choose, I'm fine with whatever, then you choose and they're not fine with it. Now, this is one that I do not agree with, and simply, yes, it's annoying and it's something I wish did not happen, but it is not a showstopper with my wife. She is that person that will say that everything's fine, but you can definitely tell that things are not fine. And that's where, the whole mansplainer thing. And it's taken me 20 years to figure this out, that I need to not just listen to what she says, but look at the emotion. Pay attention. Guys, you can do it. I know it took me a long time, but you guys are smarter than me. So again, look at the whole body language, maybe ask her sister, ask your friends, hey, she says this. Talking to my sisters on the phone actually helped me better understand this, so you can learn to decipher this. To me, it's not a showstopper. And this one's a no-brainer, but if I see anybody hurting an animal, you can bet that I'm not going to have a relationship, or I would not tolerate that at all. I am a dog lover. And I like cats too. We got chickens. I like all types of animals. Grew up riding horses. Anyone else a horse lover? Okay, guys. So let me know what I missed down in the comments below. I'm sure there are many things that you do not tolerate in a partner that I should have covered in today's video. So I want to hear from you down below. Remember, I've got some cool coins I'll be giving away to some of the best comments. And what video to watch next? Well, guys, I've got you covered with this video right here. What is it? I'm not going to tell you. Don't worry, I'm not going to rickroll you. It is a solid video, but click and find out what video I'm talking about. Yes, magically click it and you'll go to the next one.